Only 9 days to go and Operation Orphix Venom will finally be over. But before it ends, I got one last video for you lads, especially for those players who like to play as a lone wolf in this game. Most in my community have asked about a solo guide for this event, and I'm here to deliver. So basically, you can solo the Orphix Venom event, and as you might guess, it can be done with Bone Widow. This is just a testament that Void Rig is not the only one usable for this event. He may be better than Bone Widow in terms of DPS, but he ain't as versatile as this melee-oriented cornbot. Okay, enough with the details about Bone Widow's survivability. Now let's get on to the builds and some tips to solo Orphix Venom. The build I'm using to solo the event with Bone Widow is this. The Vitality and Steel Fiber mods are basically for survivability. I did not add redirection in this mod setup, since you will somehow need the enemies to hit your health to replenish your energy with the help of the Rage mod. With this mod, you don't have to worry about energy at all while doing Orphix Venom solo. All you need is to make sure that you always have an enemy skewered by your meat hook, and you'll end up with full energy always to maintain your exalted Iron Bride. Pressure Point, Reach and Fury are basically for her Iron Bride exalted weapon. Streamline, Flow, and Continuity are basically for energy efficiency while using Iron Bride and as well as Meat Hook, and of course, Intensify so that Meat Hook will have decent health conversion, and Iron Bride will have more damage output. Okay, before we continue, let me thank first our sponsors for today's video. Raid Shadow Legends, a role-playing, turn-based game that has an epic dark fantasy look. With over millions of players every month, over 100,000 members on their Discord, thousands of videos every week, and almost 40,000 members on Reddit. It's one of the biggest and most helpful communities I've seen, so now is a really good time to get started. What's more enticing about the game is that it features some detailed champions that you can collect, upgrade, and use in your team to complete challenges and obtain those legendary loots to further increase your power. It also offers a variety of content, ranging from a good story campaign, to dungeons, arenas, clan bosses, factions wars, and more. What I like the most with this game is it actually has endgame content, which is the Doom Tower. It's a giant tower with 120 floors, a bunch of secret challenge rooms, and 12 seriously badass bosses to take on. And mind you, the rewards are bountiful on this game mode. It's the best place for hardcore gamers who wants to challenge themselves, and prove that you have created the perfect roster to take down the toughest challenge yet that this game has to offer. If you want to try Raid Shadow Legends now, then you will have a huge head start if you will click the link I've provided in the description. And if you are a new player, you will get your free Void Champion Bulwark, 50 gems, an XP booster, some energy refills, and even an ancient shard as soon as you get in game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. But hurry, as this is just a limited time offer. Rewards will be available only for the next 30 days and only for new players. Happy raiding, and I'll see you in the game. Now let's get back to business. Last but not least are the engine and mobility mods. Thrusters is a must since you want your engine to have more capacity so you can glide and hit that armored Orphix that spawn in hard to reach areas, while Hydraulics is a godsend mod for Bone Widow, as it gives you more jump height to both reach the Orphix, and use as a survivability skill. You see, doing the Orphix Venom event solo, and without any radar mod will only spawn a few Corpus or Grin near enemies. They are manageable, and the only threat to your cornbot are those sentients, especially those ones that have spinning attacks. One way of avoiding these types of sentients is by simply skewering them with Meat Hook, or you can just jump into the armored Orphix once it's vulnerable, and just ignore them. The jump height that Hydraulics gives allows you to not only reach those Orphix, but also allows you to position yourself in a safer area. The trick here is to just ignore everything and just focus on the armored Orphix once it's spawn. If you need to regenerate health, or energy, then simply use Meat Hook and the Rage mod will do the rest. Just be sure that you have always Meat Hook an enemy, especially if you are at wave 30 up. Getting back to the build section, the mod setup I'm using for her Iron Bride is a combination of critical chance, corrosive, puncture, and cold element. Cold is not necessary, and I just end up adding it for additional total damage. The armor of the Orphix is susceptible to corrosive and puncture, so you should mod it this way. Lastly, I would like to rectify my previous Iron Bride build. I did show a build using Furor in the past, but that was really dumb of me since this mod doesn't work with her exalted weapon. Sorry guys, it was my mistake. Moving on, I highly recommend using the Fluctus for taking down the resonators in the event. This heavy weapon has innate punch through and each shot can go through walls and obstacles. This allows you to shoot those resonators without leaving where you are standing, and making the whole thing a lot faster. The mod I'm using here is basically to increase the overall damage of the weapon. Since the resonators are objects, and are not affected by any status or critical, you should go for mods that can increase the overall damage of this weapon. If you can max out primed rubido barrel, then go for it. Anyway, we will just be using this weapon for utility, as Bone Widow's Iron Bride is enough to kill both sentients and other factions in the event. Now if there's one last tip I'm going to give you, that is memorizing the spawn location of the Orphix. Normally, there are 3 spawn spots and you should memorize them so you won't have to travel from point A to point B after the Orphix already spawned. This will save you a lot of time, and give you more points overall. As the wiki said, Orphix spawns are not random and occur once every 1 minute and 30 seconds, cycling through 3 distinct tile locations. The following diagram shows how the Orphix spawn locations are laid out in a linear fashion. The Orphix spawn pattern starts with tile A, tile B, and then tile C. After the third Orphix, it changes to use the spawn pattern CBA, then ABC, or CAB, or BAC, which usually occurs in the corpus tile set. Note that spawning tiles will be adjacent but not necessarily in a linear arrangement and probably have branch paths that lead to dead ends. So what's the advantage of doing the event solo? Well, aside from the thrill and bragging rights of solo cheesing the event, I feel that soloing the event is much easier for me, especially because I'm one of those with crappy internet connections, no host migrations, no lags, and pure satisfaction of soloing 36 waves of Orphix Venom endurance. However, the downside of soloing this event is obviously the loot acquisition. I usually gain 20k plus score with a team, which translates to over 2k plus facixels per 55 plus minutes run. While doing it solo, I can yield about 19.8 thousand score, which translates to 1900 plus facixels on average. Now that's also in 55 to 57 plus minutes run. If you are not bothered with getting a bit less facixels in the end, then you can solo it with Bone Widow. But if you are a hardcore farmer, then best that you stick with an organized team or public queues. The rest of the video is just showcased on wave 33 to 36 of one of my solo Orphix Venom run. I hope you enjoy it, and I also wish that you find this video informative. Huge shout out to Crimson Dynamite for being the first one to comment in my recent video. You're the pog champ today, lad. Thank you so much for watching. Squad leader signing off.
This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future. 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 Human error. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future.